Hello, this is Octopath Traveler. It's an RPG with 8 characters in it. In this speedrun, we'll be playing through Ophilia, the cleric character, and completing her story. To complete a character's full game, you have to just complete their 4 chapters, but there's other categories that do more chapters and such. So for the purpose of this speedrun, I'll just be playing through Ophilia. And in the beginning here, thank you for the good luck, Unknown Mythos. In the beginning here, I'm just guiding this this child here, and basically guide is Ophilia's path action, and each of the 8 characters has a unique path action that you use to complete quests and help in battle and such. So in the beginning here, every single chapter will just have a couple of story triggers that you have to hit. Usually that's done by using your path action. So for example, guiding children is a common thing that Ophilia will be doing, and I just did that to progress the story, and I'm gonna progress the story a little bit more by hitting some more triggers and such. And then very soon I'll also be buying my first weapon in the game. So Octopath Traveler is a pretty nice RPG in a lot of ways, in my opinion. For one thing, there's cutscene skip, as you can see, which makes it really enjoyable in my opinion to replay, and the music is also fantastic. So I highly recommend this game if anyone's not tried it before. But here we're just gonna go pick up a weapon, a quartz rod. Octopath speedruns don't usually buy a ton of weapons and such, and here I'm gonna recruit a tavern NPC with her guide action, and but in chapter 1s in Octopath speedruns, we often do buy weapons to help accelerate the beginning of the game, at least until we get more resources and such. I surprised my foe here. So in combat here, it's turn-based, and if you surprise your foe, you can get a free flea. In addition to that, I recruited this tavern patron that you see walking behind me here. Basically, Ophilia's action, as I mentioned, allows her to guide NPCs and summon them into battle. It's turn-based, so the NPCs will take a turn after her turn, and that's just very convenient to help with some battles and such. It's not used in a ton of routes, but in the typical single story run for Ophilia it is. So here, this is like the first cave, and there's also going to be encounters and such, as we saw outside. So I suppose I should mention about the combat system a little bit. In the top right corner you can see the little dot, and it's going to go up by 1 now, and basically that's a boost point, and you can use those to power up your attacks and such. In addition, you saw that I hit the wolf, and it had like the unconscious kind of thing on top of it. Basically, when you hit an enemy's weak point enough times in this game, it becomes broken, and then you can do extra damage to them in that state, or get free fleas and such too. And this is the first boss of the game, Guardian of the First Flame. The idea of the battle is pretty simple. You just summon the tavern patron and hope that he does summon winds, which is his signature attack. This is the reason why we recruit him, because there's no other way to get a quick 3-hit attack this early in the game. So we're just hoping that he does more summon winds, but it's okay because here I can just break the boss. And 2 fully boosted Holy Lights, which is her magic attack, will defeat the boss. So this is 1, and I just want to do another one. You could possibly need less, depending on the damage rolls and like how many times he attacks and all of that. We'll see. So after a certain number of turns, the NPC will leave, and then the boss will summon his Dark Wisp, which is kind of his whole gimmick. And we just want the NPC to summon more of these winds, and that'll be really convenient. The Wisp that you see there is fairly dangerous. If the 3-turn timer goes down, he will actually just explode, and it does a lot of damage, so we definitely want to defeat the boss before then, and we will with this next attack. Alright. So that's Ophilia chapter 1 down, and there's basically 4 chapters to every single character's story, and all the chapters will proceed in this manner. So after we beat the boss, there's typically a couple cutscene triggers and such, and then we will be leaving the town for the first time. So before I leave the town, I'm going to recruit one more NPC, and the reason why this speedrun is just a bit different from the regular way that the category is run is I'm doing this with a lone traveler restriction, which just means that I'm going to not recruit any other characters, and I'm going to try to beat the game with just Ophilia. So after I leave this town, my first stop is to try and get Scholar and Evasive Maneuvers. Basically in this game there's 12 different jobs, and each of the jobs has support skills and such that help with combat and also give you extra bonuses and such. The Scholar, and of the 12 jobs, one of the jobs is Scholar, and its support skill is Evasive Maneuvers, which allows you to basically reduce encounter rate, which as in a random encounter RPG like this really helps, as you can probably tell. It reduces the encounter rate by, I believe, 2 to 2.5 times as much or so. So it's also very close to Ophilia's starting town. I believe her town should be, like, in terms of distance, the closest, her or Cyrus, but okay, so here is a meep. I'm just gonna try to run from it. Hope to get the flee. Alright, so if you fail the flee, there's gonna be like the text where it says you were unable to escape, but that's fine. I'll just heal. And this next area is pretty dangerous. I'm gonna actually heal up before I enter here, and try to walk this. Basically, if you walk, there's a slightly reduced encounter rate, and I'm gonna hope that I don't get the encounter going to the Scholar Shrine. And after I get the Scholar Shrine, I'm gonna try to unlock its first support skill, Evasive Maneuvers, for the reduced encounter rate as soon as possible. Alright, so I got this encounter, which is really typical, and my hope is that the NPC I summon will use the flurry attack. That is not the flurry attack. So flurry is a 3-hit bow attack or 2-hit bow attack. I want the 3-hit version specifically. And if you do get the 3-hit version, you can break this group and break a group of enemies. And as I mentioned earlier, when you break a group of enemies, you get a free flee from them. So that's really convenient. And I'm just gonna keep trying this in this area until I can get the free flee. Well, either I can flee from it, or it breaks, or I just don't get the encounter or such. And we'll see here. There is a chance, like a really low chance, that you can just walk into the shrine, but it's like about a 10% chance that you can walk into it without the encounter. Very unlikely, and this is also unfortunate. I'll probably just wipe here. Also, I suppose I should mention about the overworld in Octopath Traveler. Octopath Traveler is essentially an open world game. You can pretty much go anywhere after your chapter 1, and that's why that's one of the things that make playing this game, or even speedrunning the game, fairly pleasant, because you can run around to like the end game dungeons very early on after completing your starting town and just get a lot of resources and such. So here I will just hope for no encounter, or if I get it, I will keep summoning and hope to break and flee. And remember, breaking will give me a free flee. Alright, that's the flurry that I want. Alright, and that's good. And I'll just get a free flee now. And after this, I can enter this Shrine of the Sage, which is the Shrine of the Scholar. What character is the most difficult to solo run? In my opinion, are you talking about a speed run? Well, I suppose just for fun, casually, I'd say probably Cyrus or possibly Prim. Both of them have difficult chapter 4 bosses to beat casually in a solo, especially if it's your first time doing a solo and such. Okay, so after we get this Scholar Shrine, we will leave here, and we're trying to get to the town. And same thing as before, we're gonna get the encounter again, and we're gonna hope to break it with Flurry. Alright, I was caught by surprise, which is a little unfortunate, but it's not too surprising. Basically, the lower level you are in an area, the higher the chance you get caught by surprise. I'm level 3, I believe, and this is a level like around 15-ish area. So it's a huge difference, and you could see them doing just a ton of damage to me. Level 17, danger level. So I just will keep running through this until I can get a flee. And my goal is to tag Noble Court in the top right corner here. One thing that's really nice about Octopath Traveler is there's a fast travel system. So after I've tagged the town, I can teleport back, which is really convenient. And he did the flurry here, so I will get a free flee, which is nice. Well, not a free flee, but a guaranteed flee. I could actually just flee outright, but the chance of succeeding with that is really low. So, alright, so I've tagged Noble Court and I can fast travel back at any time. I'm actually just gonna leave immediately, go up here and grab a light Soulstone M, and I'm gonna fast travel to my starter town, which is Flame's Grace. So, this light Soulstone M is really convenient because it's basically a way to do a lot more damage than I would normally be capable of doing. I'm gonna switch to Scholar here just to get the extra attacks on them, the fire and the ice. Basically, this game has I'm gonna summon here to try to attack these guys, even though they're not great in terms of JP, but just to help with the JP, because I do need a certain amount, so I will just grind for it. And I believe fire will break these guys, yep. So we need 130 JP in order to get evasive maneuvers. And when we get evasive maneuvers, we can just start traveling around the world, and it'll be a lot more convenient and such. So we're at 19, we will need a bit more. I think I'm actually gonna just flee from this one because it's a little... These only give 2, so it's very low. I don't think it's worth fighting when compared to like the next map has stronger foes and will give a little better JP and such, and that's my hope. So about the sub jobs, basically you can put on a sub job and you automatically learn their first 2 skills. For Scholar it's fire and ice, and I wanted that to help with the grind here in case I ran into multiple enemies like the previous map, because this Holy Light attack is only a single target attack, but having an AoE attack helps with the grind a little bit, helps accelerate that. So since this will be marathon practice, I will just take whatever encounter I get in Whistlewood. Basically, in certain parts of the map, there's powerful, there's dungeons, there's optional dungeons that have powerful enemies in them, and Whistlewood is a common place that's used to, a common optional place that's used to grind the early game JP needed for evasive maneuvers. And usually if a runner was going for a fast run, they would just try to take a fast Whistlewood and then proceed with the game. But for this marathon run, I will just take any encounter I get, and then after that I'll just grind the rest of the encounters on the way to Stoneguard, which is my next stop. This is a very common encounter. I think perhaps the most common actually. So this is Light Soulstone M. You can see it does 1100, 1100, 1100, and then 1430 if it has a light weakness. I mentioned earlier about the break and boost system. When you break an enemy, you do extra damage to them. But if you hit an enemy's weak point to, while you're attempting to break it, you'll also be doing extra damage, specifically 1.3 times as much extra damage. And that's why... Oh, okay, this... Actually, I didn't learn the... Okay, it's a little unfortunate that I forgot to just learn Lightning Blast, but it'll be fine. I'll just break these with staff and then attack after that. Right. A little unfortunate. So what I should have done was I should have learned Lightning Blast when I was leaving Whistlewood, but I was in a hurry. And Lightning Blast would defeat these ants a lot quicker than this battle went, but it's fine for the most part. Here I will actually spend some JP to learn Lightning Blast, and that just helps with the grind a little bit, because I'm trying to get 130 JP and I was at about 105, so I need about 25-ish more or so, and I'll try to grind out the ants that you saw in the screen, or more of these frogs. So after the grind, it'll be a little bit more enjoyable because we're gonna be able to explore the map a little bit more. But one thing that's also nice about putting on Scholar is it does give like a little bit more SP, which is like the skill points, and also well, it's just a lot more convenient because you'll get more skills to use and such too. So this is a pretty slow start overall. I don't have great encounters to try to grind the JP with, but for the most part, I think it's fine. I'll just slowly get closer, and I put a relatively high estimate, so it should be fine. I'm actually just gonna move on and take more encounters along the way. I would usually just try to grind the ants in there, but in that previous map, but for this speedrun, I just want to try to move ahead. These encounters don't give a ton, unfortunately. I think it's fire, actually. It might be fire. Because I haven't fight these guys in a while. Okay. Ophilia is also the scholar, the cleric character, so her base toolkit is mainly oriented around healing and support skills like buffing elemental defense and such in this game. But for the speedrun, we will be putting a slightly more offensive skill on her, which is merchant later on, which will be doing a lot more damage for the purposes of the speedrun. And the open world nature of Octopath also makes it really enjoyable because you can run around to early game areas to get a lot of useful and powerful items and such. Okay, so I'm just healing SB here in case I need it for something coming up, which hopefully I don't, but we'll see. So over here to the left is the path to Ripple Tide, which is an early game area for in the regular Ophilia speedrun, you would actually get Tressa and Cyrus. Cyrus was in the other town that we passed by, Atlas Dam. But for this run, we'll just be skipping those towns since I'm trying to go solo here. Alright, so I'm just around 8 away, which is not bad. It's a little slow, but it's fine. And one thing that helps with this speedrun is that there's basically a lot of useful items that Ophilia can get to try and circumvent some of the damage of her boss. And I hit over 100 JP here, so you can see it doesn't actually matter what skill you learned. I should have just hit lightning bolt, but I just slipped down on the controller, but that's fine. We just want to put on evasive maneuvers, and you'll see that I should be able to go this whole map, or almost this whole map, without any encounters. This chest here is a money chest, but we don't need it in the speedrun because there's excess money. So we'll just skip it and we'll move on. Before I go to Stoneguard, which is my next town, we need Stoneguard for a fast travel point, but also for a quest that we will be doing later in the game. I'm actually going to pick up this Light Soulstone M, which is the same one I tossed earlier for 1100 damage in the woods. This is just more for safety for the run than anything else. I've never actually used it in a normal solo speed run, but it's on the way, so it's a little convenient. And also, if you exit a screen, you reset the encounter rate, and that's particularly helpful in this screen because it's a fairly long screen, so if you try to run it, you'd have a high chance of getting an encounter. So here I'll just tag it, and now that I've tagged it, I can get out of the town. And the next stop we want to go to is Wellspring, and similarly we're just going to use Wellspring as a fast travel point as well. In addition to that, Wellspring will have our first L stone. So up to this point you saw me toss the M stones, which do 1100. The L stones, which is the large versions of the stones, do 2700, and that is obviously a lot more damage, and it'll basically help with grinding a little bit more. We do need a certain threshold of EXP and JP for this run. It's not super high, which is quite nice, but in order to reach that without taking too many pit stops, I like to try to grab the stones along the way before entering an area, and then using the stones for encounters that I might get, which is very typical. And this screen is a small chance of an encounter. I've never actually gotten it, but I've heard that you can, so and I trust the runner who said that. So here I'm just gonna go down. This is a this is a town for the other travelers. Ophilia has no purpose in this town or anything. I should probably mention, by the way, there's 4 chapters in this to complete Ophilia's story, and the 4 chapters are in 4 different towns, are in different locations, and they kind of do that with all the characters. And it's just a way to make it so that you're actually exploring and are forced to travel around. Ophilia has to go to Saints Bridge, Gold Shore, and Whisper Mill, and we're going to be tagging her chapter 3 town, Gold Shore, very soon. But before that, we want to pick up Merchant, and the Merchant job is widely considered the best of the 8 base jobs in the game, and it's also the way that most Octopath speedruns do their damage. There's a skill in there called Hired Help, which does almost like essentially a fixed amount of damage that doesn't depend on your stats, but depends more on the money that you spend. And since it's an open world game, we can essentially run to dangerous areas, grab a lot of money, and we can use that to fund the merchant skill. But we will be coming upon the shrine very soon for the merchant, and I will get that, and we will probably get an encounter here. Oh, I skipped it. Alright, that's fine. So this previous screen I went to, there's a very high chance of encounter, and you usually get it, but I skipped it. Sometimes that can happen if you're just lucky. It's a fairly low chance, and you wouldn't normally go for in a run. In a typical run, you would actually just save and quit at the save point, and saving and quitting will just reset the encounter rate. But it's fine. I'll just take this, and I can just grind another encounter later down the line, and that's all fine. So next, we're just going to be moving on to the next area, and similarly, we're just going to be getting more resources and money and such. We'll be coming up upon her chapter 3 town, Goldshore, which I will tag as a fast travel point. McKellen, hey yo, more practice. Yes, I'm trying to do more practice for the run on Sunday. How are you doing? Alright, so here I will be tagging the town, and I don't usually get this right away. I usually just wait until later to get this, but I'm actually just going to come in here and grab a Thunder M Soulstones that's behind the tavern here. It's I have a lot of M stones in this, but this is more for safety in case I do end up needing it early on, which is extremely unlikely, but for the purpose of safety. Sino Shore, good luck on run and marathon. Really enjoy your solo path commentary. Thank you, Sino Shore, and welcome. Good to see you, and I hope you're doing well. How's your day been? So here I just grabbed that stone for safety. I wouldn't usually get that in a run, but for the purposes of keeping it like safe and like in case of like worst case scenario, I will have that as a backup. And here I'll grab another large L stone. So in the beginning of the game, I'll be grabbing a lot of these stones, and it just helps with doing damage because Ophilia herself is relatively weak. If you recall, I was doing about, say 600 fully broken on the first boss at max boost, and these L stones do 2700. This is an M stone, and same thing, just for safety. This is extremely excessive, but just in case. You sound more confident today, if that makes sense. All good here. Thank you, McClellan. That makes me super happy to hear. So in the bottom left corner here, we have a 20k chest, and obviously more money is good. And we will, this is actually a semi-dangerous screen. I can get birds on the screen. I'm going to save and quit right here. I'm doing pretty well, thanks. Good to see safe pickup. Oh, yes. Yes, so this screen is a little dangerous. You can get birds, and this is like a level 45-ish area, so you're pretty much guaranteed to wipe if you go here. But fortunately, wiping in Octopath Traveler is very safe. You just will respawn at the previous save point or the previous map, because basically every single map has a you can skip over that bush usually, but I missed, I guess, the movement there. But basically, every single time you wipe, you will be brought back to the previous screen because it auto saves, and you can see it saying auto save in the bottom right corner. So here I'm gonna go to Lock of the Lost King, and I'm gonna pick up a Wind L, so another L stone, and then 30k. This area also has an extremely low chance of an encounter. It's almost like the bare minimum in terms of like this would be like one of the last steps and such. So anyways, I'm gonna pick up this Wind L here, and I'll pick up that 30k chest in the top right corner and just hope for no encounter. You should probably not get an encounter. Alright, and I will also go to Grandport here, and I will run through Grandport. This is a chapter 4 town, and the normal Ophilia single story run does actually come here, I think, for money and such, or at least into the area. But I will just be grabbing some money chests in the back, because we do need a decent chunk of money in this speedrun to throw at the enemies. And a common joke is that in Octopath you just pay to win, because you quite literally pay your way through. If you had other characters, you could also purchase or do other path actions on these characters. Ophilia's is guide, and that's locked by level, so I can't grab too many useful NPCs and such. But the other characters in this game would have path actions like steal or purchase or challenge the fight, and then you could do that in that previous town to get a lot of resources if you wanted to buy certain things and such. So here I'm just gonna go to the next screen, and this Thunder L stone that I'm gonna get in the corner is actually unsafe. I can get an encounter here. There's a chance that it's an encounter I can defeat with the Wind L, but it's not guaranteed, so I'm just gonna hope that it's the good encounter, and if not, I will I'll give this one try, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to it worked, but if it didn't work, then I would take a safety where I would teleport back to Wellspring after picking up that stone. And this is another stone here, so you can tell that I just have like a lot of stones. I need one Thunder L and one Light L for chapters 2 and 3. Alright, so here this is Martham Catacombs, a level 50 dungeon, and I'm gonna try to loot a Rev Jam here, which heals all HP, SP, and BP fully, so it's basically the best restorative item in the game. And I will also try to use a glitch here called the buffer glitch to get a treasure chest. Okay, so basically, on Nintendo Switch, you would mash the home button while entering the trigger here, but on PC you can hold the top of the game and then move the controller to go through it, or use a graphic driver reset. And I use the holding the screen thing, and that will let you bypass those boss triggers to get chests and such. This run is no major glitches. There are glitches in Octopath which are a lot more potent. You can do things like duplicating items, duplicating nuts and weapons and all of that in the characters and things. And this screen I just left also had a tiny encounter rate, but that's fine too. And I'm gonna go to the Martham Palace in the back, and that just has some nice armor that I'm gonna use for pretty much the whole run. Okay, after this I'm gonna go to Flame's Grace, and I'm gonna try and aim for the Hunter Shrine. So here, Flame's Grace. Melodia. Oh, hello Melodia. Solo Pog. Welcome Melodia. Good to see you, and I hope you're doing well. How's your day been? And yes, Pog indeed. So you saw here that I teleported back to, or fast traveled back to Flame's Grace, her starting town, and this is because now my next stop will be going to the far north, all the way to Northreach, which is the northernmost town, and perhaps the most important town in terms of items that we need to get for the purposes of this specific speedrun. Hungry. Oh, I hope we can eat soon. I made dinner just before I did this run, and I hope I can finish and eat and sleep soon. Oh, okay. Well, so this is a Kate. I'm actually not gonna kill this because I don't want to. I want to do a normal speedrun practice, so I don't want a Kate. That was a Kate. Basically, Kates have. If I get this in the marathon, I'll take it. But I don't want to keep getting Kates in these practices. Anyways, that was a Kate. Basically, Kates are the metal slimes of this game. They give extremely high XP, JP, and a little bit extra money too, which is really nice. But they're a 3% encounter rate, so you can't exactly rely on them. Goodbye, kitty. Yes, goodbye. They're 3% encounter rate, so you can't really rely on them. In competitive Octopath categories, runners would grind for it by restarting chapter 1 and playing through and hoping to find a Kate and defeat one, because it gives you a really nice boost in the early game. but for a marathon you can't really rely on that, and for the purposes of this practice I do not want that. This chest here is an all of life L. You can get that, but I'm not going to in this speedrun because there should be excess money, and if not, there's a backup at the very end of the game, so you should be completely fine on money. I've never been behind, at least. Anyways, after I get this Hunter Shrine, I'm gonna tag Victor's Hollow. We only want Victor's Hollow for the very first NPC there, just to get their just to be able to guide them. He has Inhibit Defenses, which is a useful ability that we'll be using for the chapters 3 and 4 bosses. What is a marathon? Is it just a lone traveler run, or are you planning on doing each story consecutively? A speedrun marathon is a marathon where players will get together, play a bunch of games really fast, and try to raise money, usually for some charity or such. If you use the command for exclamation point ftlg, you can see the link for the marathon that I'm practicing for. There's also another one next month I'm practicing for called Ida. Or are you planning on doing each story consecutively? No, this will only be Lone Traveler Ophilia specifically, and after that I will be done with well, the speedrun for the marathon at least. So in this map, there's a small chance of encounter as well. If I do get it, a Thunder L stone is guaranteed to defeat it. Yep, I hope that's useful. I hope that answered your question. If I don't get it, that's fine. I'm actually just gonna force an encounter on the next screen here. I'm gonna force one here actually, because I've skipped so many encounters. I've skipped some. Oh, actually, I can't skip it. Actually, that's really bad. I need to basically take an encounter here. I've skipped so many encounters actually. I don't have the JP for hired help, which is what I need to defeat the encounters on the next screen. So I'm actually gonna force an encounter on the screen and defeat it. This will guarantee 30 JP, so I can learn specifically hired help on Merchant. And on this next screen, the Reptilius, 2 lizards I get, I'm gonna force a grind with the hired help ability. Hired help attacks basically almost never miss, except for possibly the cat that you saw earlier. And I'm gonna break these and defeat them for the JP and XP, because I'm trying to hit a certain threshold. Okay, so you saw there that I broke the 2 lizards with hired help bandits, and as I mentioned, they almost never miss. Those 2 lizards are like level 45 enemies, and also they have fairly high evasion, so you can usually miss them a lot, and they're only weak to axes. Fortunately, the hired help ability helps a lot with that, because you almost never miss, and the bandits that you can pay are only 800 leaves, which is the currency in the game, and then you can toss any L stone. They have about 52-36 HP or so, I believe, if I'm recalling correctly. Around that. So 1 soul stone will do 5400 damage. As you could probably can tell, breaking an enemy and tossing a stone will do 2 extra damage. This is unfortunate. And you can see here I wipe here, and I'm gonna just resume from my last save point, which is the auto save here. I'm actually gonna just equip some stronger weapons and such things. I also do have the Master Spear on, which will just be unequipped later automatically when I switch off. But basically, I'm trying to force that encounter because it's just a very convenient static encounter. Almost static. There's a small chance that it can change if you get a kitty. Basically the fat version of the cat you saw earlier. But for the purposes of the speedrun, it won't really matter too much here. I'm gonna toss a Thunder L here, because I'm trying to conserve. I'm trying to conserve at least one wind L for when I leave Wellspring later. I have 179. Alright, I'm level 15, which was my goal. Basically, when you reach level 15, you can do the quest in Stone Guard that I mentioned earlier. So I will now be able to do that, because you need specifically level 15 to guide the NPC. Ophilia's Path Action Guide is not super useful in terms of what it does and such, but it does let you complete some quests in the game, and one of the useful quests will be in Stone Guard in a little bit. But first we're going to get this Plum M, and we're going to do another buffer glitch to, actually before that. Alright, so this is another buffer glitch. And you, same thing as I mentioned before, mashing with like the home button on Nintendo Switch, or just holding the top of the screen yeah, when you're on PC and such. Also, earlier you saw me put on another support skill. That was Heightened Senses, and technically it's slow and optional, but I like it for just a tiny chance of extra safety, especially if it's a marathon. Technically, the entire hunter skill, the hunter job that I get is technically optional because I can use the NPC here for flurry, but I like the consistency. And you do also need a certain level for the quest I mentioned, and along the way you're going to probably get enough JP for it, so might as well. Here I pick up Gleaming Amulet, which is a 99% light reduction amulet, and that's one of the reasons why Ophilia's Chapter 3 is possible. And this... Wait, did I grab... I don't think I grabbed the Pomegranate L here, so I'm actually going to grab this and then reset the screen. Yeah. Okay, so this... Usually I would grab this and then enter the last screen, but I just missed that for a second. But good thing I caught it. Now I can exit and come back in. So just to have that save in case I wipe, because this next item I'm going for, the Void Amulet, is really, really far. There's a very high chance of encounter. The reason why I switched to Merchant, by the way, is because there is an encounter in here I can break with bandits specifically, and if I get the encounter and I'm not caught by surprise, I will fight them. Walked a little bit too many steps there, but it's hopefully okay. Okay, this I believe is the encounter that I can break with bandits, unless I get caught by surprise like this, which is a little unfortunate, but it happens a lot because it's a high level area and they just one-shot Ophi, which happens. If this keeps happening multiple times, I will just do a save and quit here at the very beginning here, just to have a little bit extra distance in the marathon, but hopefully I won't need to do that. So I will just be moving ahead now. One thing, also I will be picking up a Refreshing Gem that heals HP and SP, and that could help against her final boss. Void Amulet, which I'll be picking up after that. Void Amulet, which I just picked up afterwards, was a 99% dark reduction, which helps against her Chapter 4 boss. And then I'll be picking up this is a Grape M that just heals HP. I've never used it, but for a marathon I'll be getting that. In the top left corner here, we're just going to be going to the most dangerous dungeon in the game, which is the Forest of Purgation. This is a level 58 dungeon. By the way, for the people listening, is my audio okay and everything? Let me know if there's any like suggestions or anything about that. Okay, so in the top left corner here, this is a Tempest Amulet. This is a 99% wind reduction. Seems fine, thank you, Melodia. This is a 99% wind reduction, also used against her final boss. And as you could probably tell, Ophilia has a lot of elemental bosses and a lot of elemental gear to help circumvent that a little bit. Should have switched off before I entered the screen, but this is fine. Hopefully I'm not caught by surprise and have to remenu that. I'm gonna get this Pomegranate M here. The M's give 2 BP and the L's give 4 BP. And I got an L earlier in the Cathedral area. This is Cat's Eye. It sells for about 20k. It's just used for money. Okay, it wasn't caught by surprise, which is nice. And I will use Arrow Storm to break them and flee. These drakes unfortunately have a lot of HP, so even an L stone by itself wouldn't defeat them. So I'll just run and hopefully not get a second encounter. There's a slight chance of a second encounter, but it's very, very rare. So I've never gotten it, but I know other people have and such. So after that, we will tag this town and we are good. Okay, so here I'm just gonna get a Thunder M Stone, and I'll also be buying a shield and equipping the shield immediately. Okay, and then we will go to Wellspring and be able to start completing her oh wait, no, I haven't. My apologies. I forgot I need to go to Stoneguard first to actually do the quest and then equip the Royal Crest here. So I'll be going to the bottom right corner and completing the quest that I mentioned that I need level 15 for. Basically, in this town, there's someone studying history, and then there's someone who's like related to that history in this bottom right corner. This person I'm gonna guide right now. And I'll guide him to the top and complete the quest. And you can skip cutscenes for quests as well in this game, so that makes it pretty fast, or it's not too bad to do. And I will be getting a Royal Crest, which increases max HP by 600. Alright, and I will get some money and the Royal Crest. Okay. Okay, let's see, Royal Crest and Gleaming. And also a job too. Okay. For the most part, this should be fine and good. I'm actually gonna go down and reset the encounters, and then before I run back up, you can still get an encounter, but this will decrease the chance of getting an encounter. And my hope is to not get the encounter, but if I do get the encounter, I have a Wind L stone that I saved specifically for this one. And that one basically just guarantees that you can defeat the enemy as long as you don't get caught by surprise. The enemies on this map have enough HP where a normal L stone won't defeat them. You need a weakness one, which does 1.3 times as much damage. It's a little unfortunate that I got caught by surprise, but I think I might be able to tank it because I have slightly better gear. But we'll see. It's gonna be close. Oh, I tanked it. Okay, so I'll just have a little bit extra EXP and JP, which is fine. I was hoping to save that for a chapter 2 encounter in case I, got one and needed it, but it's fine. I'll just move on with that. And that was why I tried to save a Wind L specifically for that screen. We'll be going to her chapter 2 town and actually doing her chapters now, which will be Saint's Bridge as her town and as her chapter 2 town. So as I mentioned, there's 4 chapters and there's 4 towns you have to get to. We've already actually tagged chapters 3 and 4, and we could just teleport there, fast travel there later in the game. And Saint's Bridge is the final town that we need to tag. Since this speedrun is a Lone Traveler speedrun, I'm solo, but usually you'd have 2 other characters or possibly even 3 other characters depending on the route you do. Although typical Octopath speedruns nowadays just use the 3-character route for a lot of the categories like Ophilia. And this screen here, I didn't get an encounter, which is nice. You can get an encounter on that screen. It's not too bad, but it would just waste some time and such. Okay, so here I will just complete this, do the story triggers, and then I'll do her other story actions and such. For Ophilia's story, if you're curious, basically she is a cleric and her sister is supposed to go on this kind of pilgrimage to the churches and do a ritual at the churches, but because their father, or Ophilia's adopted father, but her adopted sister's real father gets sick, Ophilia takes over. So here in this place there's a small money chest which is usually obtained in routes, but there's enough money in this route that I shouldn't need it. Okay. And Ophilia while her sister is like taking care of the father and such, Ophilia takes over the ritual and goes to the churches and such. And it ties actually somewhat into the lore of the game. Basically, there's several gods, and Ophilia's the church that Ophilia visits basically worships the gods, and she's like doing the rituals for them and such. And after in each of the towns, she usually helps the townspeople with some trouble. In this town, there's like little kids fighting and such, and one of the boys goes into the woods to find a lost item, and it's a very dangerous woods, so Ophilia goes to rescue him because she remembers memories of her sister. I'm actually just gonna force the encounter here because I think. So usually I'd want a L stone for this, but since I've used so many, unfortunately these dupes are not gonna help me at all. Usually I would toss an L stone here, but because I use so many, I think that this money chest is also unnecessary. But I'm just getting it just in case, because I've just cause for marathon safety, I suppose. Usually I would just toss an L stone here, but since I was running low on stones, I just used 2 M's, which is fine. It's a little slower, obviously, but it's okay. Anyways, this is the Mirkwood, and we're basically just going to come up on her chapter 2 boss soon, and I will also get an encounter soon as well. Her chapter 2 boss is Hrodvitnir, which is. Oh, give me 1 second while I defeat this enemy. So let's see. This one is. Usually I used the Firestone earlier, but this is nice to have for this. Okay, so Ophilia's chapter 2 boss is basically a wolf who's like weak to swords, and the strat for it's pretty simple. It's very brute force based. Basically, we're gonna use a pomegranate to get extra BP, and then use hired help veterans, which is the highest tier of hired help. And it costs 30,000, but it does a significant amount of damage, and you'll see that in a second. Duping that is nice, it saves a little bit of time later on. So this is hired help veterans. You can see the enemy's not broken, but I do 3,000 per hit, which is quite nice. And I will defend here to get an extra BP, and then I'll break with the Thunder L and finish with another hired help. And it's pretty safe because she has so much HP and armor. So I need specifically Thunder or Light, and I do have Thunder and Light, but I want to save Light for her chapter 3. And this will finish off. And because it's broken and I'm using all 4 vets, it's almost 5k per hit. And the boss has around 30k HP, so that's quite nice. So here I'm actually going to learn Reflective L, which is a cleric skill for Ophilia, and it just helps with. My stream is dropping frames. Maybe it's because. Alright. Let me know if that helps. I plugged in my controller. That might make a difference. Let me know if that changed anything, please. But thank you for letting me know. Alright, so I learned Reflective Veil here just in case I would forget or something. Let me know if I'm still dropping frames. Hopefully not. Sorry if so. I don't stream super often, so and I don't have like amazing internet or anything. Maybe if I move this. Okay, so here I'll be going immediately fast traveling to our chapter 3 town. Can you all hear me well and stuff too? Is that okay? Oh, let me know, I guess. That was just you. Sorry, Melodia. Is it still happening? Is it still dropping? Make for the cathedral. Alright, so here we'll be going to our chapter 3 town and doing the triggers and such as well. There are 2 chests we'll get along the way, which is this, which is 4,500, and then a pomegranate M. Now it's perfectly fine. Okay, so yeah, I think it's because my battery is running low. I plugged it in. Seems fine now. Okay, I think it is just the battery. I suppose for the marathon, I'll just keep it plugged in the whole time. I tried not to because it can overheat, but whatever, it's fine. Anyways, here again, Ophilia will be guiding another child and helping. Oh, whoops. and helping the child. Also, thank you too for letting me know about that. I appreciate it really. And this will just proceed with her story and such. And afterwards, we're gonna spawn deep inside the cathedral, and we don't want to run outside of the cathedral to go to her chapter 3 dungeon. It's just rather slow, so we'll actually just use the chance to fast travel and pick up her guide at Victor's Hollow, the place that I tagged earlier in the game. The NPC I'm guiding has inhibit defense, which decreases, basically drops an enemy's physical defense and elemental defense, both of which actually help. And there actually are closer and more conveniently placed inhibit defense NPCs, but when I was routing this, there were no NPCs that were close enough that I could use to also, I'm gonna save here because there's a relatively decent chance of encounter, and I don't want to keep wiping on the screen. When I was routing this, there were no convenient NPCs that did inhibit defense and did not hit the shields I wanted them to. Basically, I don't want to hit the final boss's shields, and all the other NPCs that had inhibit do hit the boss's shields. So here, I actually just mashed on the cutscene because it's such a short cutscene that holding the bar to skip it is actually slower than just mashing through it with the 2 text boxes. There's a couple text boxes like that in the game. For example, in like Tressa's chapter 1 or Cyrus's chapter 4 and such. I'm actually gonna make a backup save here if I want to practice more later, but it's fine. Okay, so here I'm just gonna move on. Oh wait, I wasn't supposed to move on. I was supposed to save and quit, but it's fine. Hopefully I just wipe here, and that's the goal. It's gonna be slow because I'm tanky, but it's fine. We save and quit here because the screen is so large. There's a very high chance of encounter. Oh wow, I actually survived. I'm just gonna. I wonder if sword. No, okay. Anyways, it's fine. Usually you would just save, go to the title screen, and reload the save. This is the same process and such. And it's such a big screen, we do that to avoid the encounter. And since it's a chapter 3 encounter, it's very deadly. Even an L stone would not defeat them. And I'll save at this next screen coming up, and everything should be okay in terms of my equipment and such. I'm just gonna go into the boss now. Okay. After this, hopefully. The chance of another encounter here is possible, but not super likely, but it's fine. I can talk a little bit about the boss coming up. This boss is probably the hardest boss of her 3 bosses in this speedrun, because there's going to be 2 enemies and they do a significant amount of damage. The strategy is to basically set up side steps, which I learned earlier as a merchant skill, and it dodges physical attacks. After that, I'm going to summon my NPC and hope for inhibit defense, which will drop the defense of the enemy. Then I'll load up on BP, and then I'll just throw as many veterans soldiers as I can against the boss, and that should eventually defeat the boss. I might take a couple tries, which is why the estimate for this is fairly high, but you'll see this now. I'm gonna set up side steps first, and a lot depends on the turn order here, and also their actions can vary, so we'll see what happens. And we want to see Arcane Blade and Luminescence here. You would usually do 100 times as much damage, but because I have the Gleaming Amulet, it does significantly less. Okay, that's good, but I do need more than one. So I'll use Rev Jam here to get max HP, SP, and BP. Okay, so this will usually do 500, but because I have the Gleaming Amulet that I looted earlier, it reduces it by 99%, which is why it only does 5, which is really, really low, obviously. Is this your first try at it? This is my first time in this speedrun, yes. Ice Wind does about 700, and Fire does about 600, because we actually have fire reduction equipment too. But I think that I will probably not be able to defeat this because of the arcane enhancement that happened. I'm gonna take too much damage from the attack coming up. Yep, unfortunately. Yeah, so a lot depends on turn order in this battle, but with enough tries I should be able to get through it. It usually doesn't take me too long, like at most like 4 or 5 tries, but we'll see. If I do get first try in it, it would be fantastic, but we'll see. And I'll just repeat this until I can get it. Wait, sorry, I just zoned out for a second. But anyways, I set up 2 side steps and then I summon, and then load up on BP and continue. And you can see the gleaming amulet at work here. It really helps. The fire equipment, reduction equipment actually helps too, because I routed it in a way where, because of the reduction, you would take 600 and then... Usually I will use a rev jam here, but I'll use a palm L because I didn't take any significant damage. Usually you would take 800 from the fire attack, but you actually only take 600 because of the fire reduction, reducing it by 2500, which is actually useful. Oof, this is bad. I think I just wipe here. Yeah. Basically, if you see arcane enhancement, it's usually going to be a wipe, unfortunately. And we want to go before them and break the enemy, and then when we break the enemy, we can the left guy will hopefully not be able to use arcane enhancement, which increases their damage. But anyways, we'll continue again, and yeah, and summon and hope for inhibits. Something else that can happen is the NPC can use can tank an attack for me. It doesn't really matter if he does, as long as he uses enough inhibit defenses before he does that. It doesn't super help or anything in particular. This is a little unfortunate in terms of turn order, but I'll just hope for okay turn order, or you know, luck with this. It's probably a wipe because of the turn order. Yeah, a little unfortunate, but. Okay, this is why I mentioned about him tanking attacks for you. I need him to summon again. Okay, that's good actually. Well, it's not great, but depends what happens here. I think I will probably just lose too, though, unfortunately. Just because he's gonna use a magic attack, yeah. It's really unfortunate, because I have to get a certain amount of inhibit procs, and I didn't before he tanked the attack. That's something else that's unfortunate about NPCs. You can't control what they do, so you're kind of just hoping that he uses the attack, or you know, he times his guard at the moment that you want him to. One of the reasons why NPCs aren't used more in Octopath speedruns because they're unreliable like that. And by the way, the reason why I set up sidesteps is because of that arcane blade attack, which just does a ton of damage if it hits you. I believe it just one-shots Ophilia straight out, even with all her gear. Alright, I think that this turn order is actually not bad. Going last is okay, because I can set up a rev jam to fully heal, which is a little bit nice, but we'll see. Yeah, you can see here how close it is, and here this should just heal. It always heals on the last action or so. Okay, I do need inhibit though. I'm hoping for inhibit. Okay, this is good. If my turn order next, okay, this looks good and winnable. I think depends. We'll see. Should be winnable though. So 4 veterans will break the left guy, and then 3 more will defeat him outright. Then the right guy gets angry and powers up, but in the turn that he uses to power up, we defeat him with a specifically light soulstone L. It also works if you have a shadow soulstone L, but we don't have that. So here, I'm just hoping that the turn order afterwards is okay. He seats with rage because he powers up since his ally fell, and then he'll channel energy to power up even more, but this should finish him. Alright, there we go. And that is chapter 3 down. So it took me a couple tries, but it should be relatively safe in the marathon setting. And level 18 is good. Basically guarantees I'll be leveling up for the final chapter. Oh, and before I continue to the next screen, I will actually put on Tempest and Void. And nice. Thank you, Sinoshore. Thank you very much. So I put on Tempest and Void Amulet here because I did put that on, right? Void and Tempest. Okay, because Void gives 99% Dark and Tempest 99% Wind, and that's very useful against the final boss who uses Wind and Dark attacks very specifically. So that will reduce all his attacks by 99%. Then afterwards he only has physical attacks, and I will have sidesteps up to counteract that, and reflective veils to do damage and such. Although things can still go slightly awry, but we'll see when we get to that point. I'll be coming to chapter 4 town next, and I'll basically be selling a lot of items. This is something that happens in a lot of Octopath speedruns. Basically, because we want to fund a lot of money at the end of the game, we sell almost every single one of our excess equipment that we don't need and such. We will actually keep the gear because there's a battle Ophilia has to do. Okay, yeah. I can see here that I'm like well over, which is why the 3,500 chests I mentioned was a little extraneous, but it's fine. Something very typical in Octopath single story speedruns and even the longer categories is we'll multiple times be selling. Here I'll just choose wait and see to proceed with the story. Basically, Ophilia was tricked and locked up, and then she breaks out after someone helps her. Anyways, something very typical is we sell a lot of items just to get the money necessary for the final boss, and that's no different in this speedrun. We're selling a lot of money items to get the money necessary to fund the veterans we need. I need specifically four veterans, but even if I only had 3, it would be fine. It would just be slower. Everything for this final fight is relatively safe. It's just the chance of something going wrong. It's possible, and it can take a little bit more time, but it's not too big a deal. Anyways, this screen is also very dangerous. It's a chapter 4 town, so it's chapter 4 dungeon, so it's a level 40-ish dungeon, and because of that the enemies will just destroy Ophilia if I get an encounter. I'm gonna save and quit here, and that will reset the encounter rate as I mentioned before. And before I enter the boss, I will actually loot a 30k chest in the bottom corner, and that will fund 1 final veterans. It's nice. I'm up on money, which is good too. Alright. And I will loot this 30k chest, and then I will go into the final battles. There's gonna be 2 in a row. There's not a ton of 2 in a row battles in this game, but there are some where you will fight one battle and then immediately come upon another. This is one of them. So the strategy is pretty simple, just defend and then use veterans. This enemy is actually fairly dangerous because of this attack specifically. You see how much damage it did, and that's with my fire reduction gear. So, and if I didn't have the defend BP, because I defend to get an extra BP on the next turn. If I didn't have that, 2 veterans would not defeat them. Leveling up is also good because it means I'm at full HP for the boss. And also, being level 20 is good. Around, I believe, level 17 or 18, if he just hits you normally, and he's guaranteed to hit you on the first turn, and he crits you around level 17 or 18, he just one-shots Ophi, because she doesn't have enough HP, even with the gear that I have. Okay, so that's the 99% dark reduction, and now his attack. Okay, and that's good. I'll be setting up sidesteps first, just to be extra safe, so he can't hit me anymore. And then I'll be tossing some stones and summoning as well to get on inhibits and such. So you see how little damage it is, which is really nice. I'll summon here just to get hopefully some inhibits, or if not, just wait for him to use inhibits, which can sometimes take some time. I don't want to toss light or ice because that will help break him, and I don't want that. Okay, getting inhibits is good. I'm gonna set up. I'm gonna use 3 veterans now. And that brings him to 1 shield for later in the game. For later when I do the final break later. And hopefully I just get more inhibits off on him. And if not, it's fine. I have some stones to toss and such, or side steps that I can set up. Getting endless item dupes. Oh wait, I didn't mention endless items, did I? Basically, the support skill for merchant gives you a 25% chance to duplicate items, which is pretty nice for this speedrun. If you do dupe like useful items like some soul stones I duped here. I'm gonna set up a sidestep here, and then I'll do a max boosted reflective veil. And because of the defense down, I will do extra damage from the reflex. Well, ideally he will put on more inhibits and such to help with that. Okay, that's fine. And you can see here it does 2000. Without the inhibit defense, it would do 1300, so it's significant. And I will also need more sidesteps soon, so I'm gonna set up more sidesteps now. You can see I have 1 sidestep in the top right corner. That's like the little down arrow thing with the exclamation point. And it's very important that I keep those up, because if he hits me, I will just wipe, because he does about 800 per hit. But having sidesteps is pretty nice. And reflects are also nice. Unfortunately, I ran out, but I'll set up more in a little bit. I used the rev gem earlier, so... Okay, he will do dialogue at 30% specifically. I also have a incentive, I believe, to let the dialogue play out, but we'll see if that's met in the marathon. I'm just gonna resummon, I think. I also have to check my summon count, because I don't want to summon him too much, because you do want to keep him for the end as well, but we'll see. I'm gonna set up more of these. Let's see. Okay, so he's at 30% health now. And I'll let that play out if it's a marathon, but... Alright, another dupe is not bad. I guess I can try to count this maybe. 1100. Okay, inhibit defense and more reflex. Good. It's pretty good. That will actually probably last until he uses Infernal Prayer, which nullifies it. So I'm not going to resummon, but I will actually check my count of how many I have left. And you can actually see that Ophilia's HP is actually getting a slight bit low, but it's fine. So I have 4. Alright, that's totally fine. I'm going to set up a sidestep to be safe, because I want to be extra safe for that. Also, it gives me time to get BP for 4 for max boosted reflective veils. I also lost track of how much damage, but it's fine. When he uses Infernal Prayer, that's 50%. And then after that, the Infernal Prayer actually boosts his defense, but it makes him actually take more damage as well from his own magic attacks, because his magic will be stronger. I have 4 summons left, so I'm just keeping track of the count. I'm amazed this is actually the speedrun strat. Yes, it is. It's very slow, but it's the strat for solo speedrun. Great. I'm that bad. Oh well. Alright, so here's the refreshing jam. You can see max heal HP and SP. I mean, this is what I did casually though, with no amulet. Oh yes, that reflect is a very common, I think, casual strat. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Should be safe here. If he taps me, I have HP, and also I have a sidestep up, so it's all fine. It should be fine. Set up the sidesteps to make sure to get through the things. Alright, he's at 50%. There's 2 of these. Okay. Alright. I'm gonna summon now. I want to get inhibit defense off, and then 2,000. I want to do 8,000 before I go for the final break on him. A little unfortunate, but oh, it's fine. That's 6,000, so that should be enough. Really hoping that he would, but it should be fine. Good. Okay, this should finish him, because I believe that should be enough damage. And basically, Infernal Prayer happens at 50%, and after we count 8k more damage, fully boosted vets on inhibit defense does 42,000, which is why it defeats him. And that is the solo speedrun for Ophilia's Lone Traveler challenge with my commentary. Oh wait, time. Okay, I'm glad I put my estimate fairly high. Okay, how was that commentary for the people listening? Was it okay? Or was there any criticisms or advice you want to give for that? GG, thank you, Sino Shore. Sounds pretty good. Oh, thank you, Melodia. I'm not super used to doing commentary, but I have practiced it a decent chunk, so I'm glad that it was alright and feasible. It's very informative. I learned Matthias' actions indicates he's at a health threshold. Yeah, when I was routing this, I asked about that, and I didn't know how that was happened. So I actually entered it with Cyrus and a full party, and I just did little bits of damage, scrutinizing along the way, and that's how I learned that he does his dialogue at 30%, Infernal Prayer at 50%, and then his last dialogue at 70%, but we never hear the final dialogue. I believe that final 70% dialogue is also the point when he unlocks his thunder attack, which is like a replication of Galdera's electrocute or so, or maybe it's like 90%, but it's like close to his end, and I don't want to hit that thunder attack because I don't have the thunderstorm amulet, and it would just wipe Ophi. Unless I have Reflective Veil up, which would also be helpful, but it depends on that situation. Ironically though, the Thunderstorm Amulet is in her Chapter 4 dungeon, so I find that really interesting and funny. Anyways, let me see. Is there anyone you guys recommend I raid? Or if not, I'll probably just log off very soon. I'll probably do another practice before the marathon. I'll post it in the stream thing for the Discord and all that. Let's see. Reflecting on this run, I guess, for a little bit, I think that my encounters were pretty bad around Scholar to get EM. Evasive maneuvers was not great because I took so many extra encounters. I don't think I wiped too many times though. I actually skipped quite a few encounters. Well, skipped some. Like I skipped the Wellspring Cursed L encounter, and I skipped the Merchant Shrine encounter. Not that that really saves much time since I do have to grind a little extra. Having not enough JP for hired help at Reptalios was interesting. So I'm glad that that popped up here, and that I know to keep that in mind for the speedrun that will be coming up. I also did have excess stones, but I pretty much expected that. A little excess money, but I predicted that too, so that's all fine, I think. Just thinking back to the run. Chapter 3 took a bunch of tries as usual, and, you know, getting a Scholar Shrine was fine. I think that everything is relatively fine. Alright, I guess I'll just head out now. Thank you all for tuning in. I will probably practice again if you are all interested. I'll probably post it into the Discord stream. And I'll also probably mention about the marathon that will be coming up as well. And thank you all for tuning in. Alright, have a good night, everyone. Take care.